And for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could I have a roll call, please?
Brad Hint. Here. Tom Eggers.
Here.
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Chantal Ostro.
Here.
Jeff Wagner.
Here.
Next item up is the approval of the agenda. I'll take a motion for that.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or additions? Roll call, please.
Hint.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hamill.
Aye.
Ostro. Aye. Wagner.
Aye.
Next item is the public forum. Is there anyone here today wishing to address the council during this time of the meeting? No. Any written comments?
None.
Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. I'll take a motion to approve that.
So moved. Support.
Roll call, please.
Wagner.
Aye.
Ostro. Aye. Hamill.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
All right, our next item then is discussion on the city manager vacancy. You should have a copy of the proposal from Thea in there. I've spoken with Marquita Oliver, who is the city manager in Bondurant, as well as does this consulting. Nice conversation. It is the offshoot, the second generation of the firm we used prior when we were hiring Sam. Her colleague formerly was Brent Hinson, recently took a different job, which does not allow for him to serve in this capacity. And so she is running it. Then she, there was a Mark Jackson, I think that's the right name, the city manager in Story City. He was also involved previously. He will serve in kind of a subcontractor role, as I understand it. But they can do it all from start to finish. Orange City did use them in their last administrator search. I tried calling Deb DeHaan, but she did not return my calls. I did get an email from April Schaefer saying that she had talked to somebody or knows somebody, passing along. They were happy with the work that was done in Orange City with this firm. So we have that possibility. We've also discussed, I think you're all aware, possibility of hiring somebody from within, and I will say there is interest in that position. The level is yet to be determined, but we do have interest from within for also applying for that position. And then the third option would be a restructuring with both Todd and Angie assuming additional roles and then maybe hiring underlings for picking up some of the work there. So I guess those are the options I see. Does anyone have any other ideas that are worth consideration?
I think that pretty much covers the gamut. Becomes a question of whether we want to see what's available and explore all the possibilities or not, I guess.
Okay.
As far as restructuring, I don't see a meaningful way to do that. Now, there's some things that might be done, but all in all, we don't have a lot of layers already, so we might have some different titles, but it's essentially going to be what we have. As far as the city manager's position, I think we ought to at least explore that. I don't think it's a viable solution to do away with it. Certainly, we're beyond that. I think there are some communities that do that, but they're very small.
And the fact that we have interest from within does not necessarily negate A. If we have, if A is hiring the management consultant, that doesn't necessarily negate that process. We could still move forward that way. And just the applicant would just work through the consultant at that point is how I guess I would see it.
Which applicant are you referring to?
There is no applicant, just interest, right?
There's interest, yes. Yeah, applicant was probably not a...
No, I'm not talking about I'm talking about, you had mentioned that there might be an internal
Yes, there's interest.
possibility.
There is interest, which, I mean, if we do that, it doesn't necessarily mean we wouldn't do A, is what I'm saying.
And
to do
A
it.
is the consultant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, the first thing I
Yeah.
explained would be, I'm calling that A.
I guess along those lines, and in the consideration of what we've been asked, we've been working on this past 2 weeks of looking at the job description. I'd like to see what that opportunity really looks like and how that is measured by the job description that exists. So if we've got someone who's interested, I'd like to see what part, if they're comfortable with the full description as it stands today, or if there's modification to that, that we could look at the feasibility of. I guess what I'm saying is I'd like to exhaust that interest prior to engaging in with a third party.
So you brought up the job description. On my one that I have on my computer, the city manager job description is listed there. Do you also all have that job description?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe now would be a good time to just go through that and and decide if this is complete, if there's things you need to add or take away, perhaps. But this is the current job description that was updated in August of, what was it, Brandy? Was it August? October of last year. Yeah, so it's fairly up to date. Any comments or questions on anything listed there?
I'm really uncomfortable, or slightly uncomfortable with the whole city government process of things. So that's not really, there's been lots of indirect banter about restructuring, not restructuring. What does that look like? Which I think is good. But I don't know that we know what we want. Do we want the next city manager to be involved as heavily as Sam was with economic development, not involved with economic development, with some of the other things we've got going on? And I don't think it's fair to a possible internal candidate not to go out to the general public and let them rise to being the best possible candidate we have. The community, I have nothing to judge upon whether or not that's the best we're going to get or not going to get. And that's not saying they're not the best, but I think that the community deserves to have a candidate search that goes through all the possibles and bring them forward. For $18,750, it's not much in our big budget to give that person support if they come to the top of saying this was the best candidate available to us. And we have had in the past some grumblings in our community from hiring within, and whether we hired within, and that was the best choice. I'm not arguing whether it was or wasn't, but a couple of city managers ago, we hired from within. The SCDC director we hired from within, and turned out fine, but just my thoughts.
The counter to that would be we've used the consultant route, and that didn't turn out so good on at times, a time. I'm not going to speak to any specific, but in reality, the one I'm thinking of was not a consultant, was not used. That was a appointed committee of city leaders, and that one did not turn out great. So who knows? I mean, there's always a little bit of margin of error that we didn't get the best one based on a good interviewer that isn't necessarily the best city manager. Hopefully that process gets us there, but there's no guarantee.
I've got a question for HR, if I may. With the job description that we adopted back in 2025, the one that we're looking at right now, how does that compare? Did we go through any comparison process to other communities in relationship to this, or is this just basically a blueprint of what we were receiving with the city manager we had at the moment?
The job description in front of you is what was put together by the previous city manager. So it wasn't in comparison to other job descriptions. I had sent out just some ideas of different things that we could add to it via email that I felt like maybe it was missing that we could probably benefit from.
Do you care to share those?
Yeah. Like more of an emphasis on strategic planning and organizational leadership. That seems to be a gap in the description. Capital improvement and infrastructure planning, depending on how involved you want this person to be. Community and economic partnerships, again, how involved do you want them to be? Grants and external funding, risk management and emergency preparedness, organizational excellence and continuous improvement, and stewardship of cities' assets and long-term sustainability, which that is encompassed in certain items in there, but it could be better defined, I think. Mm-hmm.
So with those options that you just stated, would it benefit us to add those to the job description in order, before we would put that out for any kind of job
I think if
placement?
if you desire for those to be in there, we can modify the job description and
Right.
make
I guess
it
what
easy.
I fear is that if the job description right now is a close blueprint to the previous city manager, then it may be not as generic as it needs to be, or as broad as it maybe needs to be,
Right.
in order to really compare any candidates.
I would agree. I also believe in the process of updating job descriptions that just based on how things were at the time, there might be benefit in also reviewing Todd and Angie's at the same time, because I feel that like we might just need to look at that to see like what they also absorbed that may also be included in the city manager job description. So just based on trickle down and delegation of responsibilities, it just might be something we need to review with those two as well.
I would agree with that.
So with that, how soon could that be added to the job description we're looking at right now and for us to review again?
Sure. Probably by mid-August. I'm on vacation, or I have a vacation planned, so that would probably set me back personally. But my team could also work on it as well to get by the first meeting in August. Would that
So
be
our
reasonable?
next meeting then.
Yeah, we could do that.
I think that's a good first step. I really do.
Okay.
Because with those that you listed, it certainly broadens this thing out, provides candidates who have different strengths in different areas be able to present to those. Whereas it stands right now, they would not, they'd be shooting in the dark with it. And we would be measuring it outside of a standard document, so.
Right. I could also see benefit in adding like percentage of time spent on certain responsibilities. It's hard to estimate if you're not in the current role, but also to help candidates kind of understand, well, I'd spend most of my time in this area, and while I really like this other item, I'm not spending as much time there. So that might also be a benefit.
Yes.
Brandy, to get to that point of adding percentage of time, don't you need further direction from council as to what they want?
Yes.
And is that where potentially you had mentioned the position discovery meeting, is that where that comes into play, or is that simply just at a council meeting we talk about it more?
Yeah, typically in developing a position profile, it's helpful to have those discussions with the city leaders or to understand the position better. I did, if you don't mind, I did review the consulting, the packet for the consultant as well, and it does look like that they do something similar to that. But it sounds like you're not certain if you're going with another consultant or not. So that is also a service we offer as well. I'm not sure if they would also do it again after I've done one, but that might be something we could collaborate on as well.
As long as, in discussion about the job description, under education and experience, it's listed that a bachelor's degree is required, public administration, business administration, political science, or related field. Do you have a clause or something, or equivalent experience on the job training or something like that? Because if someone doesn't have a bachelor's degree but has had a lot of experience, I would still consider them. I would put value on the experience. Like
You
the
have
degree.
that in the next couple bullet points that talks about 3 to 5 years of experience, managerial and administrative experience at the local
Yeah,
government.
And I
5
see
years.
that, but does that, if bachelor's degree is required as the
Is
first statement,
preferred.
master's is preferred.
I think that depends on the candidate to me.
Say that again?
I think that is,
That
depends on the
leaves-
candidate.
Leaves the door open.
Yeah, I think it depends
Okay.
on the candidate.
I would agree with that. I think that's a door we need to leave open, to be honest.
Sometimes experience is far ways education.
Far greater, yeah.
I think it could be an and or.
Yeah. I also think, is it now, is it the time to look at the economic development? Because that position plays a key role in economic development. So is it time that we look at the city manager doing more economic development?
Or working more closely with.
I think that's the time to have the discussion now. Because as much as they do with economic development, I think that's a key component of this next candidate is economic development and the growth of our community.
I wonder, we got a quote here. This is, one time I read this thing from the company that submitted it as a estimate, and the next time I read it as a quote, I'm not really sure what they're proposing in that. This is a key position we're trying to hire for, and it's going to impact Sheldon for the next 5 years, whether they succeed or fail. I'm wondering if they would take it through the number 6 and bring us what they bring. Nobody knows more about city managers than these guys. And whether number 6 taking it through preparation of number 5, organizational survey and summary of the report, council approval profile, that kind of stuff. it's a little hard where we're at here, because first of all, we have a potential candidate sitting in the room, and we're discussing what that job's gonna look like, and trying to work our way around that. And I don't think it's just uncomfortable for me in the situation we're getting ourselves into. And I hope the candidate, whoever it might be, rises to the top. That's not what I'm not saying. I just think we have to be extra careful going through this process. And I guess for your question is, how much experience do you have in hiring a city manager?
I've never hired a city manager, but recruitment efforts, everything that this firm does is something our firm does as well. So, and we support multiple city entities in Northwest Iowa. So we're familiar with working in city government. My bachelor's is in political science. So I have a fairly decent understanding. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else, but generally cities to schools to hospitals to private sector, public sector, recruitment typically is pretty standard.
So how many CEOs have you hired?
CEOs,
Yep.
Depending on the size of the organization, I've hired leadership roles.
I'll be point blank. I'm not comfortable with not using this firm personally. I'd like to use this firm to start with and see how far we can get. And not necessarily carry it all the way, but at least see what they bring in with their knowledge of city managers, the city manager process, their ability to survey us, to find out what it is we're looking for. Every month we go by is costing us money. I've hired people also, but it doesn't make me qualified. And it's nothing against you. It's just that we're at a critical spot here to find somebody to replace this individual. I just wanted to make sure we do it right.
So if you look at their proposal and their standard framework for process on what page is that on? Page 4. The first 2 bullet points is to do exactly what we're talking and trying to do right now. So I'm not quite sure. Maybe you can clarify it for me, Jeff. What are they going to help us do with those 2 initial bullet points that we can't do ourselves?
With the assistance of our.
And the 2 bullet points are meet with the mayor and council to review job description, pay and benefits, etc. That's the first one. Second one is to meet with the mayor, council, and key staff and select citizen advisory on the individual basis to discuss qualities desired in the next city manager. Learn more about the organization's needs and to gain input on the advertisement of the position. So what we're talking about is the job description, and we're talking about the scope of the job today. We're doing that. And I guess what I'm asking you, Jeff, is where do you feel that their professionalism is going to help enhance that?
Experience in hiring previous city managers is going to give us some better knowledge of the process, the questions that we should be asking, what other cities are looking for in that process.
But I'm speaking of just those the 2 bullet points that I mentioned, that I read. How are they going to help us in that area? Is this something we can do ourselves, or I'm trying to understand how
Say
they
ourselves,
help us.
that assumes utilizing services of center benefits?
What I'm saying is what I want to understand from Jeff is where he's not comfortable with us doing that ourselves, those first 2 bullet points. I want to understand where he's coming from on that, because I want to understand. So, okay.
if you look at the list of the prices they have listed at the back, the initial council meeting to start the search process, $400. One-on-one meetings with elected officials and key staff. I'm assuming that's to develop a list of desirable characteristics in the newest person, $1,500. That to me seems to fit those first two bullet points.
Right.
So you'd save $1,900.
Well, not truly, because we're going to pay this firm to do that also. So
Well, I
we do
haven't
have
heard that we're going to use center benefits at this point yet, for sure.
some- You said save, that's why I'm just saying, we wouldn't save necessarily that, we would spend it someplace else.
Unless we just do it amongst ourselves.
I think we
But
need to
I
have
think-
somebody
I-
that's in the business to guide us, take our input, put it together, and come up with a job description of what the next city manager is going to look like.
Utilizing current job descriptions from like what we currently have.
I think we need to update those because I don't think we're all on the same page what we want the next city manager to do. I think we need to find that out. What do the 5, 6 of us want in the next city manager?
And they'd facilitate that through a workshop or
That's,
something.
yeah, we'd have to do it through a workshop or something, and I'm sure these people will probably do that.
Well, I'm gonna state the obvious monkey in the corner. And that's that we're sitting right now with, a complaint against system, IPID. And number 2 talks about confidential interviews with the mayor, council, et cetera. I feel more comfortable having somebody who's been through this process is understand the process of what we can and can't do legally. Because I think some of the things we want to we need to figure out are gray areas of where the public and closed meetings are. No?
Say that again.
I think some of the things that we need to decide in the next city manager, I don't know whether they're public or private conversations, closed meeting conversations or open conversations.
Well, that's a legal question.
Right. But they've been through this a number of times, so I would trust their process of
Right.
of how to go through that.
If it's just a general discussion about a city manager rather than a specific person, it would be an open discussion.
Which I don't have a problem with.
I mean, to go to a closed session, it would have to affect a person negatively if it were an open meeting versus a closed.
So even if it was like a workshop, it would be.
It would have to be an
Yeah.
open, in my mind, we would need legal advice, but what I've dealt with in terms of open versus closed meetings, it most of the time has to be open. So,
Yeah, in regards to additional competencies, I would like to explore what is the opportunity to acquire more competency when it comes to city planning as well, to where with this competency, we can benefit as a council and as a city to understand what we need to do and what it looks like and how to prioritize that kind of development. And we've done some really great things, don't get me wrong. But when it comes to new development on stuff, sometimes it would probably be good to know what the overall effect is towards a larger plan for the community, especially when it comes to, I'll just use corridors as an example. What should we be looking at for development in our corridors? What does that comprise of, and what does it look like? And I'm not sure that we, as a group, have a single vision of what that looks like, and therefore we manage and direct towards that vision. So that's one area I'd like to see, if we can get that competency through a new city manager, or figure out how we would be able to adopt it through a third party or whatever else. I think it's an important step that we should discuss during this time. So I'll add that to the pot.
Right. And I would say that like on what Brandy provided to us, strategic planning and organizational leadership, setting long-term direction and
Right.
leading organizational improvement, I think.
That's why I like that one to be added.
Yeah, exactly.
So. And I think
that what
there
you're saying
is,
is a need for visioning, a vision in our next city manager.
yeah,
And I'm not sure that I know what a city manager traditionally brings for visioning, or what the role of a 2026 city manager role in visioning and leading and those kind of things. So I guess that's why I was just saying I'm leaning towards this company to say, okay, what are other councils asking for? What are other councils candidates? What are you asking in your process? Because
right,
you've done this successfully 35 times.
right.
And I don't have the bandwidth to spend a lot of time interviewing 35 candidates or some of those kinds of things. Or if we have two or whatever the case may be, we just want the best candidate possible. And so, Tom, that's what I guess you're saying what I'm thinking, but if they've gone to market this number of times, they should have some idea what's out there, who is potential. That's what certain recruiters specialize in.
Right. If the council feels that their involvement with these first two steps through a workshop or whatever type process, I'm fine with that, as long as we can get that done. And then we can decide whether or not, what our next step is and move forward with that. That's fine too. But I do want to make sure that we have these conversations and get that embedded into the job description before we go to market. Otherwise, we're misrepresenting. We're not representing everyone's feelings in this council in regards to what really is needed. So.
I think that the job description hints at it, but I think we could do a better job of prioritizing those efforts. Yeah.
So are we asking us to make a decision at this point, Greg? What do you think the next step is? Because what I'd like to do is either us as a group or individually, if we want to have a conversation with this firm that you brought as recommendation, how they see that play out, what kind of time frames, what details, some of that kind of stuff.
I look at their timeline, and once we say, yes, we want to go with you, it goes pretty quickly. And there's not a spot in there where we talk about revising the job description. I don't think we want to start this process. If the job description needs work, that to me comes prior to signing on the dotted line with them.
I read it as number 2 and number 3 getting us to that. The interviews of staff, and then bringing back a preparation of the profile of the person we're looking for would be that job, part of that job description. Mm-hmm. And that's what I would like to know from them better. And if they don't do that, then we're doing it ourselves. But we're spending several $1,000s in that, so I want to know what we get for those first two steps at $3,300.
What I'm hearing as we discuss is, I think we want to go with this firm. Is anybody opposed to that, the hiring of Thea?
Have we had any other?
No, and there aren't many out there.
I would like to have, excuse me, I would like to have them tell us why we should be interested in them and what they can help us with. I understand I'm looking at the timeline, and I can read those captions also. I'd like somebody to convince me that they're the best way to do this stuff. And that could be, unfortunately, I don't want to meet more, but.
Well,
there's
if you
so much
look at
time in
their,
between that,
yeah, if you look at their client listing, they have assisted a number of communities, including Sheldon back in 2018, over the years. Most recently, one that we are close to is Orange City. And I've heard from others that Orange City was happy with that process. We could, I mean, she was willing to do a telephone in, do a Zoom meeting and answer questions, so we could schedule that. We could do that in a special meeting. We could do that at the next scheduled council meeting. If you want to know more from them,
I hate to wait till the next scheduled meeting. It's going to be
okay?
quite a while, 3 weeks.
I guess I also would like to know, like, do they want a job description from us to
Well-
begin? Because
I would say they probably wouldn't object to that, but I would say that's their building, what do they call it? Their first couple of points there, preparation of a profile, that's why they want to do those things, and then they call it a profile, you can call it a job description, but they're gonna put together what they're gonna advertise. The profile they're going to ask for, which we could call it a job description or whatever else,
I'm honestly, I'm not sure if that's what that means, because usually when this happens, they create a profile of our town so that people know what our town offers, all the different things that we've got going on, what we've done.
well, that could be.
But I'm not sure, but I
Clarify all that
agree some
stuff.
other questions probably would need to be asked before.
Yep.
You just assume that that's what the
Well,
profile is.
that's why I'd like to talk to you.
Brad, if you've got a comment, feel free to step forward.
I have a profile from another community. They're not listed here, but I think it's basically what this is, and I can send it on to you. That I don't know who they used. It was City of Spencer for their director of marketing or director of finance. Yeah, I have a profile I can share, and I think that's basically what they're putting together. And it's a job posting that they're working on, and this is more of a formalized job description. In HR brain, like the job description is used for like ADA and identifying essential job functions. So eventually those two will have to merge at some point. But yeah, they're essentially creating the responsibilities of the position with the job profile, in my experience. Mhm.
So you're going to forward that on?
I can forward that on.
I keep forgetting the terminology you talked about for the process, the meeting, that you could do a meeting. What was that called again?
Yeah, we call it a discovery meeting. I think it would be similar to their confidential interviews, their number 2. But yeah, very similar, just talking to the vested parties in this position
Okay.
and identifying what they want.
Delay.
Appears to me we have nothing to lose but time by asking them the next week or two to have Zoom meeting or whatever it is with them to see what they
Mhm.
provide. It doesn't mean that we still won't go with your firm. I think the community would feel better if we did a little research on the process. We don't get this very often.
And same thing to you.
Yep.
Well, and I would be interested in supporting them through the process if that is who you guys go through. Being HR for the city of Sheldon, I want to ensure that the process is smooth and would love to partner with them in the ways I can, especially to ensure that the culture is maintained here and we can have a successful onboarding and orientation process with someone new.
So am I hearing we want to get together in a week and have a conversation with this firm?
Right, we're going to walk a fine line here because this firm may not be willing to open their book to your firm teach you their process.
That's not what I'm asking.
But they don't have to be at the same time.
No, I'm not saying that she would like to walk, they would like to walk along the process if we hired the firm. So, all right.
Meaning,
Go ahead.
meaning like support the staff, be part of interviews if necessary, help coordinate things, not necessarily facilitate their process.
I think they're the ones that coordinate. In the past, they've always gotten the days and the times, and they've coordinated everything with the candidates and with the council. They're the ones that do all that.
So back to Tom, I was thinking the same thing. What about 4:30 next week, Wednesday? We call a special meeting, subject to her schedule. And ask the questions we're asking here that aren't getting answered now, and have them explain what we can expect.
In the meantime, can we get copies of Todd and Angie's job descriptions as well?
Should be,
Running out of this
So-
paper.
If you don't mind on that.
if that's the case, then I think we need a motion to do that, schedule a meeting, special meeting next week, subject to availability of Thea Consulting.
I move that we conduct a special meeting next Wednesday to
Via Zoom.
whatever, in person or Zoom, whatever. So,
Okay. She volunteered to do that today. I don't think there's a cost for that one. That's a freebie.
I won't be at that meeting.
Do you wish for a different day?
The 22nd, week from today. I've got an appointment that afternoon, so I won't be available, but you can have it without me.
Would you rather go to a Tuesday or a Thursday if that works for everyone else?
yeah,
Yeah, either one, any day works that week except Monday and Wednesday.
I'm flexible too.
Tuesday doesn't work for me. How about Thursday, do it during the noon hour or something?
Thursday? Who can't on Thursday?
I'm afraid I can't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Stick with their motion. It's going to eliminate somebody somewhere along the line anyway.
We go to a different time during one of those days?
If you'd rather, I can see that too. So,
You're just available, gone in the afternoon, Brad, would earlier in the day?
Afternoon I am.
Okay.
Yep.
I would be available, early in the morning, like no later than 9 on
Next,
Thursday.
what do you think?
On Thursday.
We're talking Wednesday of next week.
Oh, Wednesday.
Earlier in the day on Wednesday.
Oh, I'm flexible on Wednesday.
1 o'clock, 12:30? Brad, those will work for you?
I hate it in the middle of the day.
Okay.
Oh.
It interferes with workload.
Where would
Some
you
of us
want?
have real jobs.
What works for you on Wednesday?
I can do anything except until 4:30.
So,
Was Monday out, the 20th?
Monday's out for me,
Okay.
but you guys have it without me. So
well, I misspoke. I'm looking at Wednesday and I can't make it after lunch. Or so, I mean, we would have to do it early, at 9 o'clock at the latest.
Okay, I'm
Wednesday.
gonna go back and ask Thursday. What's the problem with anybody have a problem with Thursday?
Sounded.
All I have is an appointment at 2 o'clock that I have to be at. So anytime on Thursday other than 2
Oh,
o'clock.
okay.
So,
you done at 4:30 with your appointment?
yes. Yep, so 4:30 on Thursday would work just fine.
Can I
You
just,
want to amend your motion to,
can either withdraw the original or amend it?
I'll amend it to say Thursday, 4:30.
do we have support for that?
Support?
Roll call, please.
Wagner.
Aye.
Ostra.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
All right. I will get, and this, again, is subject to her schedule working with ours.
You're reaching out.
I will call her, yes. All right. Any further discussion on the job description, or is that, where does that fit into all this? I don't know if I'm clear on that yet.
I guess at this point, I'd still like to have those items that we talked about earlier added. I don't know if we need a motion for that, but I'd like to have them incorporated into the existing job description.
I would agree, and also I think we need to review Todd and Angie's job descriptions to see if there's anything that should be.
I would just say we'll instruct Brandy to add those items and then we'll approve it if it, you know, in its newer state, revised state.
So do you want those job descriptions on the special meeting or on the August meeting? Or do you just want them
Could you
just to
just
review,
email
like
them?
write them out? Yeah, we'll just email them tomorrow, okay.
Just an FYI, but there's not any action that has to be taken on those at this point, correct?
No, I just think it would be, I mean, we have just discussed taking a look at those to see if there's anything that needs to come off of
Okay,
job descriptions and add.
all right, so no motion required there. Anything else on the job description? Okay. Do you want to act on the proposal prior to meeting with them next week? Or do you want to table that for now?
I think we're in the mode of acting on it next week when we hear more from them.
I would agree. Is there any objection to that? All right, we will table the proposal to later. All right, let's move on to new business then. Approval of the resolution approving and authorizing a form of loan agreement, so on and so forth, for paying the note on the tax, with the tax exempt, approve of the tax exempt certificate. Any comments from either of you on that?
No, the amount has been updated.
Nothing from me, anything from you?
Nope.
Okay.
That's,
Any questions on that at all? That resolution? If not, I'll take a motion to approve it.
I will make a motion to approve.
Do you have support?
Support.
Further discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel,
Aye.
Ostra,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Kent,
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
All right, then the next item up there is the discussion of the TIF expenditures. You have updated sheets in front of you, I assume?
same sheets you've all seen, other than one number was correct.
Okay. Do you want to address that?
Sure, the sheets in general, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what you have in front of you is what I shared with all of you in the last week here, but this is information that staff would typically be asking council to approve during our budget sessions in February and March. We did discuss these items back then, but with the unknown of the legislature, we decided to hold off. At that time, I believe we said till May. Obviously currently July, so it's something that we really need to get moving on. Staff is making some proposals in here as far as some projects to accept and to move forward with some bonding later this fall. If you want to add to the bonding number, that information can wait a little bit, but it would still be best to have it by, mid-August or early September at the latest. But any work that you would like to see done next summer, we really need to get moving on that sooner than later. So preferably this meeting, but if not this meeting, potentially the 8-5 meeting. It's kind of like where
Thanks, Brandy.
Stand. So anyways, if I run through some highlights, we have about $7.9 million of available TIF expenditure for FY27. Council has already approved approximately 4.3 million of that per past budget approvals and items that you approved during our budget hearings, like note payments, paying off the paper ground, those type of things. So going forward, that leaves us a balance of about 3.6 million to discuss. Staff feels like you should allow us to start the design of Second Avenue. As you may recall, that's a 2028 reconstruction project from the water plant to maintainer that we got a grant, a $1.3 million grant to help pay for. We'd like to get the design started this fall and into winter, so that would be our recommendation. We also felt like at budget time there was strong support to relocate the North Fifth Lift Station. You may recall that's the one that flooded and lost the ability to function during the flooding of 2024. So that would help protect our ratepayers. If you release the 30%, then obviously the other 70% would come from wastewater reserve funds, and that is to be fine. We also recommend that you pay off $1 million of debt from the 2017B note. That interest rate on that debt is at 4% approximately, and then consider paying off an additional $610,000 on that same note that's at 3.5%. All that debt is callable as of today. The total note is still about $3.5 million, so there would be about $1.9 million left on that note. The majority of that money, interest rate is at 3% or less. So, assuming council agrees with that, then we would have a new balance of approximately $1.58 million to move forward. I'll pause there for comments, questions.
Anyone?
Okay, hearing none, just a reminder that we have, the council has essentially committed to move forward with PAPE Phase 1 based on approving the engineering contract. We're spending dollars headed that direction. Currently, that estimate is around $4 million. That will get refined and smarter as we get further into design. And just a reminder that I know I've already said it once, but we will need to come up with around $3 million for the Second Avenue job in 2028. So just trying to give you an idea of known upcoming expenditures. We have a bunch of projects at budget time. Projects vary from street reconstructions to working at the, helping out at the high school parking lot with that replacement since we use it for the pool.
Is that a current request?
It's just a request that the superintendent and I have discussed. When their project happens, I guess my feeling is we should probably assist in some way.
Yeah.
His
So
would
that's
be
being
similar.
contemplated
Yeah, I don't.
reasonably soon.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good enough.
That's why it's on the list. Anyways, there's patching projects, there's the pickleball courts, there's the city park plan, there's pavilion storage building. There's been a lot of discussion on future EMS buildings. We don't have a cost for those yet, but we just kind of need to know what some of your priorities are before we start bonding for dollars. Again, staff is going to make a recommendation that we should go ahead and do the 19th Avenue project. That's the street that runs north and south on the east side of the high school, essentially from the east entrance south to east 6th. The 9th Street project, which is 5th Avenue to 6th Avenue, essentially right out the door here, this last block of the downtown. And then some stormwater projects on 4th and 5th Street so that we can get ready for some asphalt overlay in the coming years. And we need to get the underground stuff fixed before we do overlay. If you concur with that, we would start the design of that this fall as well so that we can go to bid over winter. That would take us then to this fall of bonding for a minimum of around $5.1 million to take care of the PAPE development and those projects I just discussed. If council wanted to add to that debt level, you have the buffet of projects in front of you. That is certainly something you can tell us to add. Those are the things that we wouldn't necessarily need to know today, but we would need to know soon. But hopefully within the next 30 to 45 days at the worst. Whatever amount you decide to bond for, We do feel like, we being Angie and I do feel like that you should set your debt up to make a large first-year payment. We'll still have a cash balance in the TIF fund of around 1.4 million at that point. So we would recommend that you set your debt schedule up to where you make a first-year payment of around $1 million, and then hopefully leaving the rest of your debt service at $500,000 or less per year on the new bonding. So that's a lot. And then it'll be rinse and repeat next year. But that's currently where we stand. Again, I'll stop for comments, questions, and any potential action you might have.
Did everyone get the opportunity to meet with Todd?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any strong feelings on where we go from here? Is there anyone, let me start with this. Is there anyone in disagreement with the 3 items on the top of the page that are recommended by staff? The 19th Avenue, the 9th Street, 5th, 6th, and 4th and 5th stormwater.
Dates next summer then?
Yeah, so I mean, we would likely try to get them designed this fall, winter, Jeff, go to bid January, February, March of 27, construct next summer. So yeah, fall of 27 completion dates. The same thing if you did the North 5th lift station. That's something we would start working on design for as well, and try to make that a 2027 project as well.
So just for clarity in my mind, we have $1.6 million to expend. After the 7.9 minus 4.3 is 3.6, then I think you said there's about 1.58 million left.
Yeah, so that's, yes, after you, but if you agree to make $1.6 million in debt payments and agree to go ahead and start the design of 2nd Avenue, and agree to use 30% TIF dollars to relocate the lift station. Then that gets us to 1.581, approximately.
And TIF we need to spend in each fiscal year, but these projects are next fiscal year, so how does that work?
The appropriate answer is you accrue TIF dollars. You are technically not supposed to sit on large cash balances, or at least that's the way I understand it. You're supposed to use TIF to pay down existing debt and or projects that are within the urban renewal area and within the urban renewal plan. You can't take the funds and just go.
Right. So
You can't go buy ambulances or those type,
So I guess what I'm trying to figure out in my mind is, are some of these things that we want to accomplish in this fiscal year, and so it makes sense to target those against 1.6 million, or is it all next year, so it doesn't make any difference?
So it's all next year. Well,
It'll carry over.
yeah. And we're also saying though that whatever you do, you should issue the debt in the bond this fall, winter, and then you use the TIF cash to pay on the debt. You're not essentially taking the cash to just pay for a project. That's both our financial advisor and bond counsel have told Angie and I that is the appropriate way to utilize that expenditure. So little to no action this summer, Jeff, I think is what you're trying to get at.
I'm just trying to understand in my mind, and trying to understand if we have 1.6 million that we are carrying over or not carrying over, should we be using that to pay down next year's debt? Even on something else?
Yeah, the reason, I think so. We didn't recommend that, Jeff, only because the only other callable debt you have is at 3% or less money, and we're currently receiving about 3.1% on our money at the bank. You certainly could pay down more debt if you so chose, but we felt like projects made more sense for that type of money, because it's essentially servicing itself, if I'm saying that correctly.
Do we have an idea of what current rates are? Because those rates that are on the books are pretty low.
Yeah, good question, Pete. Obviously, it depends upon, the market between now and when we would bond, but if you did a 10-year bond, you'd probably be looking in the low 3%. If you did a 15-year bond, you're probably looking to mid to upper 3s, and a 20-year, you'd be looking at 4% or slightly higher. That's their estimates today for what they think this fall will be. To keep your bond, I mean, it's all still variable, and we would bring you all that information in our September,
If
October.
you ever call the Fed and tell them to stay in line.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, Pete.
Appreciate
But, the $500,000 payment on $5 to $6 million of debt was assuming that we did somewheres between a 10 and 15-year note. And then, obviously we're making an assumption to some degree on what the interest rate is too.
I guess in my mind, I'm just trying to clarify, we're not going to do these projects till next year. The need to make a decision at this meeting or the next meeting, I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, sure. So for work you want done next year, we have to start planning for that work to be ready for bid by January or February. That's typically where we get our most competitive market from contractors. So that means we need to do our topography work, we need to do our design work, we need to get our plans and specs ready, and that takes a few months of time to do.
So let's just say that we have this list here,
Mm-hmm.
and you want to do it next year. We need to initiate that planning and all that kind of stuff this year, which we could spend TIF money on this year to do some of these budget. And how much would that be of the 1.6 million we have to get those things positioned for next year? Very ballpark.
Repeat your question, please.
Well, you've got the 19th Street, the 9th Street, 19th Avenue, 9th Street, 5th Street, some of those other projects that we want to get planning done for, so we can put it out to bid in January or February and come out of next year's budget. So we'd have to pay for the planning and all those kind of things. How many dollars would that part be?
Sure.
Out of the 1.6 million budget.
So planning for those is about about 80,000 in planning, and then about 80,000. But if you don't support the projects, there's no sense of us planning for them, right? And the other thing, I guess, to keep in mind, when you're getting ready to award a project after bid, you should have the funds spoken for that you're going to do that. So to do that, we would need to start bonding. And what Angie and I are being told is if you're going to award a project in January or February, you need to be thinking about bonding in October, September or October.
And it takes at least a month and a half to 2 months to facilitate a bond.
And that's why we need to earmark the projects now.
Correct. Otherwise, we won't know what we're going to bond for. So that's why I say if you agree with the 5.1 million amount, we can get started on some of that, and you can wait until maybe September to see if you want to go higher, if you want to add things like the pavilion shed or the tennis courts or the frontage roads or whatever. But if we get past that, we'll lose the ability to include them in the bond. And we believe we are recommending you include any of that in the bond instead of using cash flow, so to speak, because that is the appropriate way to utilize the dollars.
So let me ask the question again.
Okay.
Thank you for explaining. If we go $5.1 million, that's the big $4 million, plus there's another $1 million. And of these projects, which one of these, if any of these would be covered in that additional $1 million?
Yeah, 19th Avenue,
Okay.
9th Street, and then the 100,000 stormwater.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the 5.1. Planning on that. We can decide the rest as we go. We've got till September to determine which one of these projects we want to use. Is that what you're, or to increase it?
Yeah, you could increase I'll say until September. But then, you know, you should, well, I don't want to tell you what to do. At some point, you got to tell us when you want us to bring that back to you or whether or not you want it brought back.
Either that or just, why don't we decide what we want to do today and have it done with?
So you've got 8 projects there. I've ranked mine. I don't know if anybody else did that. I'm curious to know how that would all fall out.
You have a motion on the floor, so I didn't know.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, okay, we have a motion on the floor to add the 19th Avenue, the 9th Street, and the 4th and 5th Street stormwater
What's that
project.
leave us? A little over $1 million,
1.58, isn't it?
No, 1.4. The reason is you got to deduct the Second Avenue, and the 1.58 is after you do Second Avenue to North Fifth to pay off the debt, and then the 1.4 is the design work. Sorry if I didn't explain that right, but it leaves you with 1.401804. All right, I wish there was a better way to articulate this, and maybe we'll have to come up with something, but it gets to be a lot of numbers.
I think it's as clear as what we got from Sam, so it's good.
Not worse.
I'm just saying, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
It is.
Different attempts is appreciated.
The bottom line is we are sitting pretty good in terms of our debt level capacity. There's room for it if we want to do these things.
And that there's a reality now based upon this year's legislation,
Correct.
knowing that TIF will be continuously, it's scheduled to be continuously decreased, and it could take on different, bottom line is it's better to spend it, utilize it to its nth degree now until it either gets legislated away or whatever. I mean, we know in 20 years there won't be TIF from what we know today. So if we've got the bond capacity to do some of this stuff, I think we should.
But technically, knowing there's a possibility it won't be 10 in 20 years. We don't know what the future legislatures will do, so yeah.
Right. But if they put a 2% cap on it next year and stuff like that, it's going to be another wrinkle in it. So, but if we earmark it now, we know what we're going to get next year in the budget, and we can earmark to that.
This is just me speaking, but I would sure hope that by early September, we start talking about the following year's capital projects, what we're going to do, how we're going to fit some of these in, what other things may be coming into that, so that I just, you know, a park for $1 million is pretty hard to say we're going to spend money on a park when we have no plan at this point. And so for some of those things, I understand government works way different than I do or in my house or anything else. It's just,
Yeah, and I guess just know that Angie and I, well, I won't even say believe. We know you're going to have to bond again next year because you've got another large project coming up. So there's an opportunity to add more things to that debt service at that time, if you so choose.
I look at the basketball, pickleball courts at the high school. You know, high school put, what, $32 million into their building? You drive by there and you look at those pickleball courts, they're sad.
But
They're
tennis courts
sad
look
shape.
even worse.
I agree.
And I think that's for $175,000, that's a small investment that we could do to improve that corridor.
The request I've received from the pickleball players is they'd like to see us put some lights on that and put some bleachers so they got someplace to sit and watch each other play, because the majority of our pickleball players can't play nonstop for that. So is 175 enough or not?
It sounds like the resurfacing though is pretty immediate. Immediate need, the lighting is.
But understand this too. I mean, if you tell us today that or soon that some of these are priorities, then we can go spend some time and refine what those projects
Numbers
looks
are.
like and bring you back better dollars before we actually write the bond. So what you're really helping the staff do is go
Right.
refine projects by selecting them now. You're giving us time.
I have a question. Trish, do you have any concrete numbers from anybody about the storage building, or we're still going with? Or is that what this number is based on?
The building itself, those numbers are now 165, 380. And then it'd be about 2,500 in irrigation to reroute a few water hose lines. And then electrical, we're not sure, it could be, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but to run electrical and gas lines out there, we're not 100%. So had it earmarked 210, but
That 210 is a reasonable number.
Yep.
Based on the information I've been
Correct.
provided, I believe it is.
Okay.
You know, and then we continually, one of our goals is the Highway 18 corridor, you know? I think that's a priority that the council has set, has talked about the priority.
So you're talking about the frontage roads?
Yeah,
That are gravel now?
yeah.
Yeah, and just so everybody's clear, those are the frontage roads that run from Fairway to People's Bank and the high school to Quick Start.
Yeah.
One on the north side of the highway, one on the south side. And those, then 400,000 gets you, or 400,000-ish gets you asphalt. That's not concrete.
I think as far as, you know, I looked at this as well, and the amenities of the community, I think, is the priority in my head. So my three were the parking lot participation, the basketball, pickleball court, and the pavilion storage building as possible additions for this bonding.
Just I got a question on the standalone pavilion building. How are you planning on getting the things from the storage building back into your primary building and back out there again? I know I hate walking when I had a detached garage, walking from one building
it
to the
would
other.
be fairly close to the building. I would say within 15, 20 feet. So going out either the east or west corridor. We had originally wanted to put it out the east, and now we're thinking right outside the west corridor door. So there's that sidewalk, and we would have a concrete sidewalk pavement up to it.
On the west side now?
Now, right now we're east, but we were thinking possibly
Oh.
west. East side would also give us the double doors, the double entry doors where you can drive a car in off the catering drive. You can open those up all the way, go right out and shoot in.
And what's the limitation of connecting it with sidewalk, covered sidewalk or something, just
So I think in the future you could cover that, but just to get the building now is 165. If you enclose the east vestibule to, you know, keep you safe from the outside elements, I have no clue what that would take, but right now the catered drive is covered, so it wouldn't be too much off. If we went east, it wouldn't be too far off the east catered drive, and you'd shoot right into a overhead garage door. So not far off the building.
So Trish, how far along is the design of the building?
I think that if we had approval, they'd start working on it this fall.
No, I mean right now,
the
for
design.
estimates, how far along?
So I have the estimates from, the updated estimate from the Sawyer Construction, who the board approved last year. And then we have 2,500 for the irrigation from
Right.
Ben Holland. And
I
I'm
guess
just waiting
my-
from Ben Beek.
My question is just about the building, Trish.
Yep.
So we know what it looks like yet?
Yes, I can send you pictures.
I would love that.
Yep, and honestly, the picture,
Can I get them this week yet?
I can send them to you right now.
Okay,
But
that'd
the
be great.
pictures would be what you look at right now
Okay.
of our building. It would be identical to.
That would be the money we're talking about is
That's
on
correct.
that.
Mhm.
That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
when you say identical, is it brick?
Stone at the bottom two feet is the stone, similar to what we have now. Then the next, they would have that slab, whatever you call that piece in between, stone ribbon or the, whatever. And it'll be brick, and then the top 2 feet is the cedar siding. The roof is the same pitch, same color, everything's the same. The only thing we haven't decided on is the color of the overhead doors and the door entry that we would use. So otherwise, Sawyer's has been in touch with RDG, Mike Bell, to get the list of all of their materials when it was first built. We will not be able to match the brick identical because it's been, gosh, we've been open almost 10 years. So they'd match the brick as close as possible, but everything would be seamless to the look. That would be their goal, to have it like this was planned to add eventually. So literally their picture of what it will look like is a picture of the outside of our building now. Only a 26 by 40. And then I have the rendering of placements of overhead doors and door.
Yeah, whatever you can share, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So anyway, those were my 3. So,
Say what?
those were my 3.
Okay. Is there any reason we couldn't do all 8?
You would, I mean, that's quite a bit more money. You'd probably want us to
Right.
give you a better idea what that debt capacity might look like. And I guess the 8th one, we don't have dollars for, but if we know it's a priority, then, I mean, we can work towards that. Somebody correct me if I'm off base here. I don't believe that is a project we can have dollars or know what we want by October. But that doesn't mean that wouldn't help us get towards a year later or something, if that's what the wishes of the council.
Right. Yeah, the 3 I mentioned would add 585,000. So,
And that was the pavilion building, the tennis courts,
And the
Parking lot.
pavilion.
and the parking lot.
just so you have the number along with what I'm saying. So,
Yeah. Anything, any others?
Are we still in the middle of it?
That's what
We
I
have
was
a
wondering.
motion on the floor.
If we needed
We
to
do.
finalize
What was that motion? Help me out.
The motion was for the 5.1 million, and then we've got till September if we want to add more.
Okay.
that-
Do you want
But I
to
don't know.
vote on the motion and then come
I don't
back to
know if all
this,
of us
or
are
do you want to
thinking-
let it simmer for a while and come back in September?
Oh, we need a second on it.
Right.
Because I'm in
Are
participation.
you willing to do that?
I don't agree with this when we have this meeting,
Okay.
so I don't think.
So we have a motion on the floor for the 3 projects on the top of the page
But I'm
there,
just trying to
the
get-
5.1 million. We have a support for that. Motion was made by Jeff. Do we have
What did that
support?
include?
That included
Included all the projects.
Those 3
the lift station,
plus the other.
design Second Avenue, paying off 1.6 million in debt.
And then,
The pay plan, right?
And, yes. and the
Well,
pay
yeah,
plan.
that's-
Yeah. Sorry, I shouldn't forget that. Phase 1.
I thought it was what we all agreed on, those things need to be done, so there's no reason to not at least give you that much direction.
That gives us a lot of work to get started on.
I'd second his motion.
Okay. Any other discussion? Man?
I just am not afraid to do the 6 million, I guess. That is, yeah. If we wanted to select more projects and not exceed the 6 million.
So
We
that
have
would be the
till
3
September
that
to add
Tom's
to
talking
it.
about. No, we have a motion. We'll deal with that and then
Okay.
we can add to it, so. State the motion, read the motion one more time so we know what we're voting on. They know what they're voting on.
To move forward with 5.1 million bond, and we've got till September to decide if we want to increase it.
Well, I think that the 3 projects that Tom talked about are certainly need to be included.
They are.
We're gonna mess around with that storage building and find out it's gonna be.
They're included in
1% higher
his-
one of these days.
The
There you
5.1, yes.
They're
Yes.
included in Jeff's motion?
No, I thought the three that were included in my motion was
Were the
19th
top
Avenue.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that was my understanding.
I don't think you heard what Pete said.
Oh,
He was
sorry.
saying Tom's three.
Okay.
Oh,
Tom,
my,
I thought you
Yeah.
yeah, I thought he said Tom.
Sorry.
But,
Yeah,
My
but I don't think
apologies.
we're all on the same page, because I don't agree with the pavilion building.
Well, we got 1.6 or 1.4 million to spend on the three.
Yeah.
the
Hold
next
on,
three
we'll get to that.
Without.
Let's get this motion taken
Okay.
care of first.
Call for a roll call then.
Roll call, please.
Hint,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Ostra,
I,
Wagner,
Aye.
All right, moving forward. Tom, you have three things you offered. Do you want to make that as a motion
Well,
for additional consideration?
if it promotes more discussion, I'll make a motion or support for it. So I'll make motion for those three as a base for our discussion.
Those being the basketball pickleball court resurfacing,
Yeah.
the pavilion storage building, and the frontage roads.
No,
no,
No?
no,
it's the high school parking
Oh, high
lot,
school park, yes, sorry.
pickleball, basketball, and the storage building
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
pavilion.
okay.
I would support that.
and that's using the 1.4 that we have left, right?
Yes, but just so you know, that adds money to the bond, and then we will make a large first payment. Right? It's not just expending cash. It's the same thing. It gets you to the same point.
Gotcha.
It's just a procedural
Okay,
thing.
okay.
Okay, so I agree with you. I just want to throw out these thoughts. The 19th Avenue that we're repairing, and the first one, is the road on the east side of the school,
It is.
which is going to improve the school there. The pickleball court, I'd just like to know more details on what, we're at 175, what, I'd like some staff input into from what they want, whether we want 1.75 is enough. My understanding is the school hasn't set a date yet when they're going to do the high school parking lot. So it could be this fiscal year, it could be next fiscal year. But then we're going to go, so the thing is, as long as we got access to 200,000, we can support it whenever it happens. Is that correct? So it's not necessarily that 200,000 for the parking lot is going to be this next year. It could be.
That's the fair statement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fair statement.
So as we're picking things to do, I'd like to pick things we think we can, that we know we have a timeline to execute. And I think the pickleball court's a great addition to the school, also getting that thing cleaned up. And we don't even have, I think, nets on the tennis courts right now, right?
Yes, we do.
No, there are.
I played Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some wind screens that were not because we ordered new ones and they took forever to get here, but that might have been the complaint or concern you heard.
I think if we had a vision of our corridors, improving our corridors, it's part of our vision, part of our plan, strategic plan. It's in here, but we don't want to support our plan.
Well, it doesn't mean we can't do more.
Just saying that the vision was the priority.
So if we were to add to the motion, the Highway 18 frontage roads, then we have brought it up to 985,000 that we would earmark for bonding.
We don't know if the school district 200,000 is going to happen in that year. So you're actually only bringing up 200,000 more. That's what I
We have to spend the money. If it comes in less, that's great.
Right.
We're just
Yeah,
approving
it
how
comes in
far we'll bond. So,
If you pick things like the tennis courts, the frontage roads, we will start working on what that looks like and get a better number for you if you get there. The difference would be is if you pick things like the pavilion shed, then she can finalize construction, but you probably still shouldn't expend the dollars until next year.
right.
If
should delay
if
the
we're
project.
following our procedure of bonding and paying back, it would still be a 2027.
And we'd be free for that kind of timing change within this scope of this, what we're doing. So,
Well, other than you're going to limit yourself once you start your bonding paperwork, you're going to limit yourself to that number.
mhm.
Yeah.
That's why we're trying to go through this process to make sure.
So Brad, if
that
I
we
under-
don't limit ourselves if we can help.
Brad, if I understand you correctly, you are pushing for adding in the Highway 18 frontage roads.
I think the corridor's it's been on our master plan, our vision to improve the corridor. That's a project to improve the corridor.
So we could do, if I'm doing my math correctly, we could do the high school parking lot, the highway frontage roads, the pickleball courts, and the pavilion storage building and still be under that 1.4.
It'd be 985.
Right.
Yeah.
I would be in favor of those.
So did you have a motion for the three from Tom?
I have, yes, we have a motion and a second for the high school parking lot, pickleball, and the pavilion shed.
And we do not have a second.
Yes, we do.
So
I'll be happy to amend it, but is there any
So we're
others
gonna-
that we want to add before I amend it so I don't amend it again?
so who seconded it? Pete, are you willing to support that as well?
Sure.
All right. So we're not going to, now we have those four we mentioned in the form of a motion. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Ostrom,
Aye.
Hamel,
Aye.
Eggers,
Aye.
Hint,
Aye.
Wagner.
There you go. Thank you.
We will get to work.
Wow, you got your work cut out for you people. And I would just say thank you for the preliminary explanation that made that this process was difficult enough as it was. It did simplify it for me.
Every budget year, when we get down to those things, that seems to be always the struggle to get to the finish.
So, all right. Moving into the reports. Anything further from Todd or Angie?
I do. Eric, we finally closed out the Department of Justice grant for Officer Roberts. It's a 5-year grant and it was so difficult. It is done. We've received our $125,000 as well, so
So when's the party? When's the party?
there isn't one.
Oh, there isn't.
Don't tell the police when the party's gonna be.
Yeah, we're aware.
I just have that,
Bring your own party.
we held two pre-construction meetings today for, one for the drainage project on Wyman and 16th and one for the Highway 18 drainage improvement projects. The Highway 18 project is slated to start on August 3, and the 16th Street Wyman project is slated to start on August 10. The Highway 18 project is going to cause some pretty substantial traffic delays and congestion as we get through laying some of that pipe right next to the highway. So please be aware, we will post more on closures and whatnot when we get to that point.
So you're thinking like one lane type stuff, single lane?
Well, the way it was in the plans was to go to traffic signals in one lane.
Mhm.
Today, during our pre-construction conference, it was brought up by the traffic control people that they had concerns about that. They were concerned about traffic, westbound traffic backing up too far, potentially getting back to the railroad tracks in the Second Avenue, especially if there was a train delay there before. So there was a representative from the DOT at our meeting, so we did talk to them about a potential 2 or 3 week closure with a full detour. They're going to review whether or not that's a possibility and get back to us. So I can't tell you exactly where we're going to land right now, but I just would beg people if we do detour it, please follow the detour. West 7th cannot become the new Highway 18. That won't work well.
Okay, thank you.
Anyways, yeah.
Put some weight
construction's
limits
gonna be
on that
good.
road.
What is that?
Put some weight limits on that road.
It's already a 7-ton road, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
All right. Eric, anything from you? All right, council to my left.
This is probably for Eric. E-bikes and scooters.
Yeah.
Have you had a lot of issues with them and in town? Because I do not like to abide by the laws of the road. Stop signs, yielding to people.
Can they be on the trail?
No.
That wasn't even my question yet.
The trail has
I've
all
almost
markings
hit
that-
several on
No
driving through
motorized.
town where they'll go right through a stop sign, a yield sign.
We've had a lot of complaints about them. Their legal status is very confusing when it comes to what's legal and what's not legal in Iowa. It goes by wattage and what type of vehicle it is. And there are some laws in effect already. There are a number of cities that are putting together ordinances for it. And my plan was essentially to wait and see what some of these other cities do and see what they put forward. Obviously, this summer has been the biggest influx of them. They're just kind of a new thing. I just know personally of several people that have been involved in accidents on the scooters and stuff now too, and it's an issue.
Yeah, and I think they go faster than cars. I've seen some go through Main Street just flying.
Right, especially the affordable ones are essentially a Razor scooter, but can do 15 miles an hour. So it's just too small of wheels to be going that fast.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that we're going to have to look into to put some sort of a city ordinance into place. Putting an ordinance into place and making something legal and illegal isn't always something that solves the problem.
Yep.
Because now that's a difficult that's a difficult ordinance to enforce. So are we making traffic stops on 12-year-old children on scooters? And just make sure when we're looking through the process, we're thinking about how we're gonna enforce this.
I'd rather do that than go to a funeral.
I agree.
I mean, it's difficult, but if we gotta enforce it,
I have some examples of what other cities are doing. I can send you those and see if any of them are worth what you would want or what. Because it's all over Clerksnet too.
Okay.
Is one of those Dickinson County?
I think Spencer is one.
Okay.
I don't remember where some of the other ones were, but it's a hot topic.
I've got one for Clear Lake if you want.
Sure.
so back to my question, what's the rules on the trail with motorized vehicles?
I'd have to look. I know it says no motorized vehicles, or does it say no motorized?
no
or engine
motorized.
driven? I remember there was talk about engine-driven motorized. However, we allow the village to use their golf carts on it. I don't know.
Which I think that's actually an exception in the ordinance.
Right.
Yeah.
So most of the problems that we've had thus far with vehicles on the trail have been cars or dirt bikes. So then that's clearly spelled out in the Iowa code that we can enforce that. If we do some sort of an electric vehicle ordinance to address scooters and e-bikes and electric dirt bikes, I would say making sure we add that to the trail would be smart at that time.
That will be a challenge. I know some places allow class 1 and 2, but not class 3. I don't know how you quickly identify them.
Well,
But some of them put a speed limit on too, I think. But again, I don't know how you enforce that.
in dealing with these issues, it's terribly difficult too because you're relying on, like I had a pursuit with an electric dirt bike, and we're relying on Google searches on the side of the road to figure out what is the actual wattage of this. Like that turned out to be a motorcycle, not an e-bike.
Right.
And
Or if it's a single engine or a double engine bike.
And if it looks like a dirt bike but it has pedals, then it's still, and it depends on what wattage it is, but it's, they're less.
I'm just saying, if they're on the road, they should abide by the laws of the road.
Correct.
I don't like them on the sidewalks at all.
It's hard though, because I get a lot of complaints about them riding fast on the sidewalks, but I get just as many complaints, people calling and saying they shouldn't be on the road because they're not paying attention, and I don't have the answer for that.
Thank you.
All right. Council to my left, anyone?
So I had.
That's it for me.
Council to my right. I just have one comment, and it's in regards to the article that appeared yesterday on Northwest Iowa Review's website and today in the Sheldon Mail-Sun. As a city, we have received and acknowledged the complaint. We respectfully disagree with the allegations, and a response is forthcoming. And that's all I have. So motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Support.
Roll call.
Wagner.
Aye.
Ostrowski.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Eggers.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.